Good morning, everyone. Or afternoon, I guess, at this point. Slept in a little bit last night. Just felt tired. I don't think I went to sleep until around 3 a.m. anyway. It's just hard for me to go to sleep. Matt's away. He's with his father and his sister up north. Dad's having an ablation today, which has to do with electric current stimulating the heart because he has AFib that he's falling in and out of rhythm with and has for the past couple of months. He's up there to try to get himself back in rhythm. I think ablations are like a step before trying to use more medication. So hopefully the ablation takes and he gets back into rhythm. He just gets incredibly tired and he can't play golf. Oh no, he can't play golf. And that's pretty terrible because that's his hobby. OSU football and golf are his hobbies. So, continues to be Pride Month. It is still June as of this taping. There's a lady over there. She's having a fit because she's a cat. Yep, she's a cat. Therefore, she must have a fit. So, last week was a single off one, and it got preempted with a rage explanation of jobs and whatnot, which I don't know how long I have before I can stop talking about jobs. Hopefully a little while longer. I wanted to talk about how Matt and I met. We actually met at a Pride Parade in 2003. It was our first Pride Parade. We were scared to death. He and I were both little farm boys from little communities and just had no idea. Absolutely no idea. So here we were in this big downtown area of a large gay mecca, basically, because the population of gay individuals, LGBTQIA individuals, is pretty large in Columbus, which is weird that we sometimes see Nazis walking up and down the streets wearing swastikas. It really kind of blows my mind that no one's done anything about that yet. Anyway, it was a coffee shop that doesn't exist anymore. Prior to the parade, I actually went with somebody else that I had met online because back in the day, I don't know if it's still this way, but back in the day, the first thing you did, at least my gay papa, Mark Buckingham, he was the one who kind of helped me figure things out and sent me to a website saying, get to know people, understand, that you are not alone. Get to know people on this website that has a chat thing and everything. So I did that. And I met someone like, I've never been to the parade. Well, I've never been to the parade either. Well, let's just go together and, and kind of support each other because it's a parade, but it's not like a Thanksgiving Day parade or a Dublin Irish Festival parade. It's a little different. A little bit more diverse, let's just say, than a Dublin Irish Festival parade. So, and this was 2003, so we went down, and the skyline hasn't changed much, but some of the smaller buildings around the area have. A lot of different places are gone. A lot of different buildings have been torn down and replaced since then. I met my friend, the new friend. I haven't spoken to them since, which is kind of sad. They seem like really nice people. I was probably not what they expected. I mean, I was who I was, and you put up profile pictures, and it was just me standing by the Sunny 95 ice cream truck. So maybe he was sad I didn't have the ice cream truck with me. I don't know. It was, I haven't talked to him since. Well, we spoke for about two or 3 days on that gay app. And it was not an app. It was a website. And I think it was Out in Columbus or something like that. We didn't have apps back then. We didn't have phones that supported apps back then. At least that were affordable. So, so we met there at a parking lot because that was the general starting area for everything. and we walked down to where the parade route was, and we stopped at a coffee shop, and it just so happened that he had friends down, so we all met up, and there were 5 of us in total, and Matt was one of those people. And he hasn't changed at all. I mean, he's still kindest, sweetest, most thoughtful, outspoken individual. We had such a good time, and it was at that point where the parade was kind of more of a protest at that point in like 2003. It was kind of shaping the way it was going, though, because it was a little corporate. There may have been 2 or 3 churches, which I thought was weird. But today, every Methodist church was in the parade. I think there were 2 Church of Christs that were in the parade. The Mennonites weren't there this year. Quite a few religions, like more Methodist churches, but then fewer of others, or non-existent others. You know, they just probably decided they weren't going to come. People are pulling away from churches more and more, and I'm sure that those fringy kind of churches are probably getting a little bit more fringy. I shouldn't do this, but I meant to do it in the bowl, but I did not, so hopefully that doesn't gum up the works too much. This is the Wookie cookie. There's Chewy preparing the ookiest of the Wookiest cookies. It's just beyond me. And Leia just wants to get the hell out of there. I mean, that's the honest truth. Leia's like, I am uncomfortable. Han is like, you know what, I'm into it, but, you know, whatever. But she's like, no, I don't want to be here. This is awful. I need to leave. I want to leave the ship. Just eject me out into space, and I will force push myself onto another ship after I've been frozen solid. That's what is happening there. So, my God. So 35 grams of coffee. We're going to put it in here, and then we're going to heat it up and make it wet with the water over here. But first, let's grind this up. We'll do a kind of a finer setting, I think. And about there. I don't know why I fiddle with it. I'm just talking and using my hands at the same time. So here we go. Here I just realized that it's the Bones coffee, so it's like I don't have to wet everything. It does have a really fun kind of chocolate chip cookie kind of smell to it. I didn't zero it, but it's okay. It doesn't matter that much. We already know how much was in there. So let's get this party started. We will start a timer. We don't have to bloom it because it is just going to sit in there. And it's going to percolate and steep. We may stop at 450. Here we go. 451, that's pretty good. A little stronger today, why not? It's really hard to hit or miss with the Bones coffee stuff since the flavor's so prevalent and tasty. So we met at that Pride Parade, and that was 21 years ago. And it's just culminated to the 21 years of being the most stable couple. I think we've even with the strangeness that's happened lately, which is making us a trip to Colombia to meet friends that he met online. That's been, I mean, as far as extreme goes, that's pretty extreme, but it's not been like Rocky or there have been their share of problems, but it's not been so terrible that we've not been able to talk about it and work it out and all of that good stuff. We have thoroughly enjoyed our time together, and hopefully it lasts for, another 40 years. I'll be really old then. So, if I make it that far, it's hard to say. But we met at the Pride Parade. It was really kind of a strange set of circumstances. I mean, we met at a coffee shop, and the strange set of circumstances is that it was not only a chance meeting, but that meeting has endured for 21 years. And, I'm so grateful and privileged and happy to be here and to be a part of this, togetherness. It's sappy and weird, but it is. I mean, it's the honest truth. I think it's what everybody kind of works for in a relationship. I think we have that stability that a lot of people strive for, And right out of the gate, we were we were just very into being with each other. So, which I'm sure does not happen. It was very weird that's what happened to us. I mean, like I said, we both come from small towns where if you were a gay individual, you did not say anything about it. You didn't talk about it. You kept it to yourself. You didn't even tell your friends, because as much as I loved my friends, I was scared to death of what would happen. Today is a lot different than back then, for a lot of different reasons. The internet, social media, television shows and that kind of a thing, the Netflix and all that stuff. We didn't have that back then. Like I said, we didn't even have apps on phones. So, and I think I had a Nokia something or other. It was silver. So we didn't even have apps on phones. So it was all, if you had a computer, you were probably in pretty good shape. But I didn't have a computer until halfway through college. There were computers in the computer lab, but it's not really the same, is it? I don't think it's the same. For a lot of different reasons, not just the ones that you think I mean. It's hard to write a book. It's easy to write an essay, but it's hard to write a book when you're surrounded by a bunch of people in a computer lab. And it was pretty tight in that computer lab in college, so I really wasn't able to open up with like stories and that kind of a thing while I was in college, or at least until I got my own computer. So, all right. So Wookie Cookie, we are going to let this go. And I don't have a clear mug. They're both in the washer. They need to be washed. So we're just going to look at this from the top today and hope that this mug is big enough to hold 400 grams. We'll just have to pay attention, won't we? We won't, but we should. It's always interesting how people meet, and, especially long-term relationships. Was it an immediate sense of togetherness? Was it something that developed over several dates? I think it wasn't immediate, but to be honest, that whole part of my life is very, is very fuzzy now. I don't remember how long it was between when we met and when he moved in with me down here so that he could find a job that wasn't terrible to him. He was I think he was a server administration person who was on call a lot. And then, continued to be on call for several other jobs after that, where he was, up all hours of the night. Just sleep deprived. Being on call is awful. I remember being on call when I was working at the switchboard, because at any point someone might have to call off for whatever reason, because we're all human beings, and that's just something that happens. My normal hours were 3 p.m. until 11 p.m. I think that's kind of the range of maybe it was 3:30 to 11:30, but somebody could have called off overnight, so that stretch of time may then become 7:30 in the morning. So yeah, it was awful. I loved who I worked with. I think I've mentioned this. I've said this before. I loved who I worked with. The people that I worked with were wonderful, but taking those phone calls was it was tedious. It was hard for me to function with all of the different types of phone calls that would come through. And it wasn't like it wasn't the different type of phone calls per se. It was the people that were on those different kind of phone calls. For a Wookie, his cookie does smell very good. Yeah, and it's got a nice taste to it. It does kind of like have a chocolate chip cookie kind of flavor to it. It's kind of subtle. Not subtle like notes, but subtle as in the flavor comes second to the coffee flavor. When you have something like a berry flavor, like a raspberry flavor from Bones, like the raspberry is right there on top of everything, and then you get the coffee a little bit after that. This is kind of the opposite. You get the coffee, but then you get a nice aftertaste of. I mean, chocolate's always in coffee to a certain extent, unless it's, I think, a light roast or the naturally processed coffee that does more of an acidic, fruity kind of notes. But in like a medium roast, washed coffee, the chocolate tends to be prevalent in the majority of those coffees. What's really interesting is like the cookie part, not the chocolate chip part. The cookie part is what really is really interesting. And it just kind of permeates the second flavor, the aftertaste basically. So it's a good cup of coffee. I don't think I would get it again. I like the tiramisu one much better, but this one, I saw Wookie Cookie and I'm like, you can't be serious. But they were serious, and here it is. So, not to throw shade, but Chewy there is definitely working. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I will hop back on tomorrow. We'll do a coffee. I don't feel great this morning. I don't know why. I slept too long. Like I said, for some reason, well, I know why. I mean, if he's not here, then I don't fall asleep very quickly. So I was up for a little while, so a little longer than I probably should have been. But that's okay. That's okay. I won't feel it so much today. I'll feel it much worse tomorrow. Have a good day. Have a good start to your week. I hope it turned out okay. I know people hate Mondays, but Mondays are inevitable, so I don't know why you hate something that's inevitable. I don't think I really ever hated Mondays. I think I hated Fridays more than Mondays because I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do with myself with nothing to do. I guess that's weird. That's probably weird too. I would hope so. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.